good evening, and welcome to the Sensitivity Summit. I am your host this evening. I am Vision Coach, your mentor, Dr. Alicia George. And this evening, we are excited to get started. Listen, we had an awesome time last night, and we're going to have a great time tonight as well. There are three speakers that will be coming to you. We are speaking and tackling topics that no one wants to talk about. They dust it under the rug, but we are challenging ourselves to speak on those things that need to be heard. And so tonight in this space, we present We Heal Sensitivity Summit. I want you to go ahead and invite someone to come in. Go ahead and let them know that we are on tonight. We're going to be both on Facebook as well as YouTube. I see something going on with my YouTube. I will check it in just a moment. And we are going to just um, sit in what God is going to speak to us tonight, because I believe that these topics are very much needed, very much need to be heard. And so, with no further ado tonight, I am going to bring up our first speaker tonight. This young lady, she is gifted, she is talented, and I know that she has something to say. So, Yolanda, come on up here with me. Let me bring you up on stage. Hi, Yolanda.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing okay. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you for having me on. This is an
Good.
honor.
You look wonderful. You fit right into this platform graciously. And I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to have you here. I'm having a little technical difficulty over on YouTube, but I'm going to go out and try to fix it once you start to speak. But
Okay.
I want you to know tonight that I am just honored that you said yes to this platform, that you made the space and you made the time to come on this platform. I want you to relax. I want you to speak whatever it is God has told you to speak and how He's told you to speak it. So for the next 35 minutes, just allow Him to use you. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I'll see you after. God bless.
Thank you again. My name is Yolanda Powell. I bring you greetings from Charlotte, North Carolina. Originally born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut, and I'm truly blessed to be here on tonight. I just wanted to come on and just talk a little bit about um, relationships and how they can some of them can be toxic. And I found myself in one recently, and that I'm out of now. So when I saw that I was asked to be on the summit and the topics that were presented, I said, you know what? Maybe I'll talk about this because other women, even men, go through these things, and we don't even know sometimes that we are in toxic relationships until we are in it and we are feeling entangled in them. And so, what I wanted to do was, first of all, I'm a mother of two teenage girls. So, it was very important for me to make sure that I was setting a great example for them. And some of the stuff I tried to keep away from them, I didn't want them to know about because I'm their mom and I wanted to be strong in front of them. And I wanted to make sure that I was setting a good example. So, I'll start by saying that I was married for 12 years and my divorce from my ex-husband was final. in 2021. So it's been 5 years since I've been, my divorce was final. And so in that marriage, I dealt with, I'm not going to sit here and say it was all bad. I had some good times in my marriage, but I did deal with some things of, financial abuse. I dealt with, you know, deceitfulness, so much information being withheld, important information that I, as a wife, should know of things that were going on. So I dealt with quite a lot of that in my marriage. So it took me about 4 years to really, really, really decide that I have to get out of this, because at that time I had, like I said, I had two girls, and I wanted to make sure that they knew that this was not okay. And I was becoming unhappy. I was becoming miserable to the point where people were starting to see it, see that I was just, even in my physical appearance, losing weight and stuff of that nature. It just wasn't healthy. And so, of course, I'm a Christian, and, I was just like, oh, I made a vow. I can't get a divorce. I felt kind of like, oh, I don't want to disappoint God. I don't want to break my family up, and I don't want to do any of these things. But I was just feeling like I was just myself. I was dying on the inside almost. I felt so much life just not being in me no more. And so I remember for the very first time in my life, I sought out to get therapy. And I just wanted to make sure that I was making the right choice. I knew in my heart what I felt I needed to do. But like I said, as a Christian, I was like, I shouldn't be getting a divorce, and I didn't want to tear up my family and all of these things. And so I remember one time when I was in therapy, and this is kind of what also gave me a green light. I remember about maybe 10 minutes before my therapy session, at one point, my ex-husband he kept calling me and, going back and forth and just having a day that day with me. And it was just ruining my day. It was just depleting me. So I remember about 10 minutes before the session, I said, listen, I'm getting ready to go on online. I don't think I really told him at that time I was seeing a therapist. I said, I'm getting ready to go online. I said, I really need you to stop calling me. I'll call you back when I'm done. Hung up the phone. About maybe 20 minutes into the session, my phone is blowing up. And I keep pressing the button, trying to, ignore the call. So finally, a therapist was like, is that your ex-husband calling you? And I said, yeah. And she said, doesn't he know that you're on a session? And I said, yeah, I told him that I was coming on. And so she said, you know what? That's very disrespectful. He doesn't have any respect for you. He's not respecting the fact. I think at that time he didn't know. I think I did tell him that I was doing therapy because I think I did tell him at that time. I think in the beginning I didn't tell him. But anyway, I knew that was like, you know what? He doesn't respect anything I'm saying, anything I'm doing, trying to heal, trying to get clarity and everything. And so took me about, like I said, 4 years to really just filter through all of this, my emotions and how I felt. And so I did say this. So at one point I told my husband, listen, I said, I need some space. We need to separate. I said, I just need some space. Can you please find somewhere else to live? I'll keep the kids, and so forth and so on. So at that point, I wasn't working. I didn't have a lot of income coming in because I was a stay-at-home mom. That was something that we had decided many years ago that I was going to do, that, I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. That was one of the biggest mistakes, as far as not with my children, but just having to rely on someone else financially. To me, that was one of the biggest things that I felt like as a woman, I should have never let happen. And I tell a lot of young women that I meet, always have some money of your own. Okay. And I remember saying to God, if this is something that you want me to do, if you need me to move forward with this divorce, I need you to send me some signs. I need to know that I'm making the right decision. I said, first, I need my own income. I need some steady income. And so anyway, about a month later, I had a good friend of mine. She called me out the blue. We hadn't spoken in maybe a few weeks or whatever. And so she called me and she's like, Yolanda, you looking for a job? And I was like, yeah, I'm actually looking for a job. And so she said she worked for a mortgage company. They were hiring and they needed a lot of help. And I was like, well, I'm not into mortgage. I don't know anything about mortgage. And so she said, no, no, no. She said, send me your resume. I'll fix it up for you because I hadn't worked in a while because I was staying home. And so I hadn't worked. And so she fixed up my resume for me. She sent it to her boss. They got me an interview. And with me having no mortgage experience, I got 100 on the test. They hired me like literally on the spot. And so God let me know I answered your prayer. And so I knew at that point that it was time for me to leave that relationship and that marriage. And so moving along, of course, my ex-husband, he was not happy about that at all. He wasn't happy. He became like very mean, you know, just he just became very toxic and mean to me because I was trying to do something that I needed to do. So fast forward. Okay, so we're divorced 2021. He wasn't happy about that at all. I'm feeling very liberated. I'm feeling like, yes, now I can, find myself. I can focus on me. I can focus on my girls. I can get my life together. I had a job. I was making money. You know what I mean? And I had more money in the bank than I had had in years. So I was doing really, really well financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I felt like I had a lot of pep in my step at that point. And so few months after that, I ran across someone else that took interest in me, and I told them right off the bat, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm not ready for any of that, And so we actually, we started talking a little bit, more because we actually worked at the same place, and so I was a subcontractor there. He was as well, and so um we began to talk and stuff like that. And like I said, I wasn't really interested in the relationship, and I explained that to him. For some reason, I'm gonna be very honest, I got entangled in this. I really did. And I know people used to laugh at Jada when she used that word a few years ago, but I knew what she was talking about. You get entangled in something, and it's like, what am I doing? And so it was probably, to make a long story short, that situation became very toxic. But the thing about it is that you don't know that it's toxic until you're in it. You know what I mean? Um, it became, I felt like it was depleting a lot of life out of me. It was taking a lot of life out of me. And so, I'm a person that I'm not about drama or anything like that. I'm not drama driven. I'm not a jealous type of woman or anything like that. So then it was like I will call him on different things. I'd be like, well, why are you doing this? And why is this going on? And, it became that I was jealous um, or I was too insecure. And it started to, after a while, when you start hearing stuff like that, you start to believe it almost. Like, it's like, am I jealous? And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, what you're doing is out of order. And what you're doing is something that is not even, part of what people do in a relationship. And so there was a lot of arguing going on in the relationship. Um, a lot of disrespectful stuff going on, and when you arguing and yelling at each other and hanging up on each other, and that just wasn't what I was used to. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about was just toxic, and being in a toxic relationship. So literally, I like to teach also, so bear with me. I wanted to just explain what the word toxic literally means. It's a poison. It's like poison almost, something that causes harm when you're exposed to it. Just think about toxic waste. Anything that's dirty, anything that's filthy, it's not clean. That's toxic. And if you can visualize with me, because I'm a playwright, so I visualize a lot of things. So I'm right now visualizing what toxic can really look like. And so when we use toxic to describe a person, environment, or relationship, it means it slowly harms your emotional, mental, or spiritual health, often without you realizing it at first. And so pretty much it just seeps in. It seeps in very, it seeps in just like almost like a cancer. Like you don't even see it at first. You don't feel it. But as time goes on, you start to feel depleted. You start to feel like the life is being sucked out of you. You start to just feel sad within yourself. You start to feel depressed. You start to feel unworthy. You start to feel all these things because now you're involved with toxic behavior. And sometimes it's not even you. It's sometimes in those relationships, in that particular relationship, it took me out of character. And that's when I knew it was a problem because I was then now, and I'm not an argumentative person. I'm not a person that um, just likes to argue and do things like that. So I found myself arguing all the time with this person about things that I knew that you were being disrespectful to me or you were allowing another person to be disrespectful to me. And so now when I'm addressing that, I'm insensitive. I have the problem. And so it became almost like I was dealing now with a narcissist. So there was a lot of things going on in this relationship. Um, and so in simple terms, toxic just means it's damaging, it can be unhealthy and unsafe over time, unsafe emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And so it can make you feel like you're going crazy. And a lot of times I was questioning myself and I'm like, no, am I crazy? Am I wrong? Am I really jealous? No, I wasn't jealous. The thing that it was, I was holding you accountable for behavior. And so you try to turn it around on me like I had the problem. And so, um, what makes something very toxic emotionally? Something is toxic when it drains you instead of strengthening you. And that's what I was feeling. I was feeling more of being drained than strengthened in the particular relationship. It makes you doubt yourself. And that's what I was saying earlier. I started doubting myself and saying, am I really jealous? Am I really this? Am I really that? Knowing good and well that some of the behavior that was being portrayed, I wasn't being jealous. I was demanding my respect, but yet you're turning it around on me like I have the problem. Okay. Um, it creates anxiety, fear, or confusion. It requires you to shrink or suppress or over explain yourself and repeatedly hurts you with little accountability or change. Okay, so I want to go back um, and talk a little bit about uh, pretty much what is a toxic relationship. A toxic relationship is one that consistently drains you more than it nurtures you. That's very important because when you're in a relationship with anyone, I always look at myself to being an asset, not a liability. And I'm talking about in every aspect. I'm talking about when it comes spiritually, I want to be an asset to you spiritually. Emotionally, I want to build you up. Mentally, I want to build you up. I want to nurture you. When it comes to your finances, I don't want to deplete you of anything. I want to make sure that I'm adding even to that, giving you ideas of how to, make more money to soar in your dreams in your career. You know what I mean? And I felt that I was being drained in that area. And the reason why it didn't stop me from doing things, but it distracted me. Mentally, I had a blockage. Mentally, I was being drained. If you're being drained, that means it drains you emotionally, it drains you mentally. So my creativity sometimes was going downhill because I have to unravel from all these emotions and things that I'm going through, and they are staying on my mind. So therefore, that's what's on my mind. That's what's clouding my brain is these things that's going on in this relationship versus being in a peaceful environment and being able to flourish with my creativity, which is a play. I mean, I write plays and films and things of that nature. So it didn't stop me, but it did hinder some things. Okay, so instead of feeling safe, supported, and respected, you often feel anxious, confused, diminished, or stuck. And I felt all of those. I really did. And so sometimes you have to decompress. Now, here are the core signs in real life terms. I'm going to give you a few of them. Number one is emotional imbalance. You're giving more than you're receiving, emotionally, mentally, or physically, and it's really reciprocated. That's important. There has to be reciprocity when you're in a relationship. And like I said earlier, if someone is called is someone if someone is more of a liability than an asset, you got to let people go like that. I don't even care if it's a friendship. I don't care if it's a friendship or it can be somebody that's in your family. If they're always taking, never any reciprocity, that can be toxic as well. Um, Number two can be confusion and mixed signals. Love is expressed inconsistently. One day is affection, the next is distance, silence, or withdrawal. This keeps you emotionally hooked. So, inconsistency can also be toxic. And that's what I was dealing with a lot in the relationship. Number three can be control or manipulation. This can be obvious. It can be jealousy, possessiveness, or subtle guilt tripping, gaslighting, or you're too sensitive. That was another one that I went through. You're too sensitive. You're jealous. Yeah, just a lot of that. And I was like, no, I'm not. I knew without a shadow of doubt that wasn't my character. Those weren't traits, character traits that I had. So but it was something that when you keep hearing it, it's almost, start to believe, well, maybe I am like that. No, no, you're not. It also can be number four, lack of respect for boundaries. Your needs, time, or feelings are minimized, ignored, or violated. So in this case, I dealt with that too, because I felt like almost like my voice wasn't being heard. I was over talked a lot. um, I would try to express my feelings, and I felt like they were just going on deaf ears, or I would express my feelings, and then maybe for maybe a week, they would okay, they would try to change or whatever they did, but it wasn't consistent. So it was like, okay, I just talked. He might have done it for a week or so, and then it went back to old behaviors. Um, So yeah, I felt like my voice wasn't being heard at that time. Number five is constant emotional distress, excuse me, which makes you feel anxious, insecure, on edge emotionally. I was on edge a lot emotionally. Or you're like walking on eggshells because you're trying to hold on because you really like this person, you really love this person, and you see potential. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. When I was in the verge of ending the relationship, the person that I was talking to, seeking spiritual, wisdom and some spiritual guidance, they said, Yolanda, because I really loved the guy, I really did, and I the thing, we had a lot in common and things of that nature. We had fun together, but it was a lot of childhood trauma they were dealing with, a lot of that stuff. And the person told me that you probably fell more in love with the potential of the relationship because you weren't in love with what was going on currently. You saw the potential of where the relationship could go, and that's what you're grieving right now, or at that time when I was talking to them. So that's important. A lot of times we look at potential that will never come because we see the potential of the relationship, but they may not see it like we see it. So therefore, you're working towards the potential of something. You're hanging in there for that, but they're not even seeing what you're seeing. And so that's very important. Number six is conditional love. Affection, attention, or commitment only shows up when you behave a certain way or meet their needs. Very important. Conditional love, meaning, like it just said, affection, attention, or commitment only shows up when you have a certain way or meet their needs. So basically, what I was going through at that time was, if I did certain things the way they wanted to, or something of that nature, then I would get that affection, that love. That's toxic. Love should be unconditional, not coming with conditions. Number 7 can be the difficulty letting go despite the pain. And this is what I went through because I had a hard time letting go. And it says, the relationship hurts, but leaving leaves. No, I'm sorry, but leaving feels unbearable. That's often due to emotional dependency or trauma bonding. And a lot of times it's hard to let go of a toxic relationship because it's a trauma bond. And that's important because and I want to, I don't know how much time, I don't think I have too much time left, but I'll get to how I broke out of this in a moment. Number 8, you're not your best self anymore. This is very important. This is exactly what I went through. I wasn't being my best self. How can you be your best self when you're constantly hurting? You're constantly trying to figure out, if you're right, if you're wrong. It's like it's always something, always something. And it's not making you feel like your best self. So your confidence, your peace, your joy, or sense of self has shrunk since being in the relationship. And that's really what it was. Like I said right before that, I was, stepping lively, and I had peace and I had joy and I was doing well financially. I felt like I was like Dorothy on the yellow brick road, and on to Oz. That's how I felt. And so once I got into this relationship, a lot of that stuff started depleting. A lot of life was being sucked out of me. It was a lot of emotional stress, a lot of mental stuff going on, and thinking, and am I this? Am I really like this? No, that's not it. That stuff draws and takes away from purpose. It takes away from ministry, the things that you're supposed to be doing, because now your mind and your emotions are all tied up in this toxic stuff, and you have to deplete from that, and it's not easy. So here's the simplest way to tell if a relationship repeatedly hurts your mental, emotional, or spiritual health and doesn't change despite honest effort. It's toxic. Let me say that one more time. If a relationship repeatedly hurts your mental, emotional, or spiritual health and doesn't change despite honest effort, it's toxic. And just to say this gently, toxic doesn't always mean evil. Sometimes it's two wounded people creating harm without meaning to, but harm is still harm. Have you ever heard of the term hurting people hurt people? And that's why you have to heal before you deal. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't fully healed, from my marriage. But at the same time, I knew that I needed to get myself together. But I got back into a relationship. I slipped back into one that pretty much set me back emotionally, spiritually, physically. Even like I said, in my creativity status, I could have been a lot further. But yeah. If also just wanted to let me explain why toxic relationships are so hard to leave. Trauma bonding, this is the big one. When love and pain are mixed together, affection followed by withdrawal, apologies followed by the same behavior, your brain gets hooked on the relief more than the love. It's like hurt equals distance, then affection, relief. Your nervous system starts craving the relief, not realizing it's trapped in a cycle. So, Yolanda, how did you get out of it? What are you doing to heal? What are you still doing? I had to realize first that I was in a toxic relationship. It's just like anything, whether, alcoholics, or you have a gambling problem, or, if you're a shopaholic, or, any of those things, alcoholic or anything like that, you have to first know what, you have to admit what's going on. And so I had to admit to myself, I'm in a toxic relationship. This is not healthy. I'm losing myself in this. So I had to realize where I was. And then what I did is really, literally, I had to really start speaking life back into myself. I had to start telling myself, you're beautiful. You deserve better. You're worth it. You know what I mean? I had to start looking myself into the mirror and saying, girl, you're beautiful. You're a queen. You know what I mean? And you have to get yourself together. Then I started putting personal affirmations. You know, I put scriptures around my house for healing, that I would say every single day. I began to delight myself in the Lord. And first of all, I had to ask him for forgiveness for even getting involved with a toxic relationship, and a relationship that wasn't even in his will. You know what I mean? But I felt like I went through it for a purpose, to help someone else, because I had never been in a relationship like that magnitude of constant arguing and fussing and fighting and, yelling at each other and, getting your blood pressure all up and all kinds of stuff. And I don't even have blood pressure problems, but I felt like I did. But anyway, so I'm still healing from it, but I'm a lot further than what I was. And so, like I said, I had to start getting back to me, doing things and shifting my mindset. When I started to think about those things, I had to shift my mindset. And sometimes you just got to put like a big red sign in your mind when you start to think about that stuff and be like, nope, that's over with. We are moving on to a new day, forgetting those things that are behind me and reaching for those things that are in front of me. And I started to press, and I started to get my vision back. I started to, like I said, I started to speak affirmations over my life, speak life back into me. I had to forgive myself, you know what I mean? Because I put myself in that. I had to ask the Lord, like I said, to forgive me. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm just getting me together, getting my life together. And I'm delighting myself in the Lord so he can give me the desires of my heart. And so I'm really thankful for the opportunity. I hope that I bless somebody. I hope that I help someone, to realize that you are worth it, and to realize the red flags in the beginning. If something is starting to deplete you, if you're starting to feel, discomfort, if you're starting to feel, like life is being sucked out of you, immediately, you got to break it, no matter how hard it is. And I went through some things like no contact I was like, oh, when I went through the no contact thing, I was like, oh, but I miss him. You know what I mean? It was a trauma bond. But where I am now in my life is I'm like I said, I'm delighting myself in the Lord so he can give me the desires of my heart. And so he can bring that right person into my life. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me on for tonight. I'm really, I'm encouraged myself, and I'm glad that I was asked to come up here and talk about this. And I hope that I bless someone on tonight. Thank you so much.
Yolanda, you certainly did. Listen, one of the things you said is it may not stop you, but it will hinder you.
Yes.
When you are in a toxic relationship, it may not bring you to a point where you go boom and just stop, but it may hinder you from moving into who you are and who you're called to be. That really caught my ear, man. Other thing that you said, you don't need to be in a relationship with someone if you're not an asset.
Yes.
And you're showing up as a liability. And a lot of people don't realize that. Just talk about that a little bit more before we end.
Absolutely. You wanna walk in my life, even on a job, anything that I do. You know what I mean? I don't care what it is. I want to be an asset. I want you to miss me when I leave, to say, you know what, we miss Yolanda. She was on point with this and she was on point with that. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to leave something and people are like, girl, it was she wasn't all that anyway. She just brought too much drama. She did it. You get what I'm saying? That's the difference. And so when you have somebody in your life that brings too much drama, they're just not doing anything good for you. That's a liability. They're taking away from you. They're withdrawing. They're not depositing anything. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I'm talking about liability, being an asset. Being an asset in somebody's life is when they're gonna miss you when you're gone.
Yes. Listen, this is In the Space, and tonight, this is the We Heal Sensitivity Summit. Our first speaker tonight was playwright, filmmaker, actor, author, coach, Yolanda Powell.
Yes,
And she talked to us about toxic relationships. We've got to really learn how to identify the type of relationships that we're in. And the one thing that she pointed out was she was not just talking about male female relationship,
mhm,
but how about family relationships?
yes,
How about work relationship? Because out of all of what you were saying, this is where I ended up. Do not give your power away to
that's
anyone.
right.
You
Absolutely.
do not give your power away. I think when you first began, you said when you were in your relationship with your husband, you felt lost because you started to feel like you were relying on someone else for your own independence, for
Yes,
your own survival. And what we have to know, just like you said, you did a lot of self talk. You did a lot of self talk in that mirror and self talk and tell you're great, you're a queen, you're beautiful, you're lovely. You do not deserve to be treated like that. And once we could get to those places in our lives to understand that we don't have to let anyone treat us anyway,
that's
all
right.
we have to do is a four-letter word: be kind to yourself. And
Yes,
it
and
all
we
makes
teach people how to treat us. That's pretty much
yeah,
what it is. If you
yeah,
allow someone to keep disrespecting you, you're telling them, okay, this is okay.
yeah.
I'm teaching you that that's okay, and it's not okay.
Yes. That's where we have to set boundaries.
Yes,
You
boundaries are extremely important.
Yes, I teach all the time in my course. You are the gatekeeper of your boundaries. You
Yes,
are the one that make the decision who comes in, who goes out, what comes in, and what goes out. So thank you
absolutely.
so much for a very enlightened conversation tonight. God bless you. Thank you
God
so
bless you too.
much. I appreciate everything that you shared with us tonight. I'll talk to you on the other side. God
Okay,
bless.
thank you. God bless you.
Yes. Listen, we are in day two of We Heal Sensitivity Summit. Our next speaker is just about getting ready to come up. I just want you all to know and understand that this summit was birthed out of a place of I had conversations with people who kept sweeping things under the rug, under the carpet. Like I said, why what happened in Vegas has to stay in Vegas. You need to define some things in your life that you need to get right and get better. Amen. I am going to bring my next guest up to the stage. Let's see. I think here she is. Here she is. You can't hear me? You you can't hear me? Is that what you're saying? She's having a little bit of technical difficulty not being able to hear me. Give her a moment so she could figure out what's going on, and we'll get right back with you. But one of the things last night, one of the who was she talked about the hush factor, that we hide things and we don't speak on things. Let me bring you up and see if you hear me now? Are you still unable to hear me? You can't hear me. Wow. Um, I don't know what's going on your end because had no problem with the last. And so if you speak, I can't hear you either, correct? Speak so I can see. Something is going on with your audio. Why don't you just go out? Don't get frustrated. If you have to go to your cell phone and come on from your cell phone, do that. Try that and see. Okay? But as we understand that there's emotional imbalance that happens in our lives that we have to deal with. Oh, put it in the chat if you can hear me. Coach Ann, can you hear me? I see you on with us. Thank you for coming in. Just put if you can hear me in the chat so that I know that you can hear me. I don't know what's going on. Dr. Charlie, are you still there? Rachel, are you still there? Could you just tell me yes, you can hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to wait to see if somebody answers and let me know if they can hear me or not. Nikhil, can you hear me? What is going on? Wow. Let me just check here for a minute and see if I can figure out what's going on. Huh. I was speaking to her all the time. She was hearing me, so I don't understand what has happened. Oh boy. You can hear me now, but I can't hear you. Okay, and you're up here 3 times, so I don't know which device you're hearing me on. The devil is a liar. We're going to get it right. Don't get frustrated. Okay. Coach Evelyn, you said you're backstage, but I'm not seeing you backstage. Okay. And she's saying she can hear me, so it's something that's going. I see you now, Coach Evelyn, on here. We're having a little technical difficulties with Nico. Something is going on with her audio. Coach Evelyn, you can still hear me, can't you? Just shake your head. You can hear me, right? Okay, you can hear me. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to switch this up a little bit so we can get you together now, you go, because I want to hear what it is you have to say. Just calm down and just we're going to get you up. Evelyn, I am going to bring you up to the stage. Good evening. How are you? Good. Okay. I'm going to bring you up and I'm going to take her down so that we could keep moving, and then we're going to get her back up. So thank you so much for joining us on the summit this evening. I am just absolutely always honored when you say yes to me, and I call on you often for so many things, and you've never once said no. So now you are part of my tribe, and I really appreciate that about you. So we're going to get you started, and then I'm going to help her get what she needs together. So welcome to the summit. Last night we had 3 awesome speakers. We just had a great speaker, and now I know that you are going to be phenomenal. And so I want you to come on, introduce yourself, let them know what your topic is, and go right ahead for the next 35 minutes and share what God has laid on your heart tonight for your topic. God bless you. I'm going to come off so I can go and help her.
Okay,
Amen.
no problem. Amen. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, and welcome to everyone. Hello. I am Evelyn Matthews. I am the CEO of Evolution Rebirth, formerly known as Evolution Consulting and Evolution Nonprofit. So I renamed Evolution, kind of switched everything up a little bit just to focus on the transformation part of my calling and what I'm here to do. I follow the 3E model, which is I educate, I encourage, and I empower. So, sticking with that 26 years of education that I bring with me everywhere that I go, my motivational speaking, life coaching, now real estate, I stick with those 3 E's so that I can remind myself what my calling is and what I'm put here to do. And that is helping women trade their ashes for beauty. And we know what those ashes are. It's the heartbreaks, it's the loss, the trauma, all of that. I help women trade those ashes into beauty. As a life coach and motivational speaker, I guide you through the transition of rising from pain to purpose, helping those healing from loss, trauma, and or abuse. And my techniques and strategy I use are just guiding through coaching, speaking, and using my own lived experiences. Many of my speaking topics are about moving from brokenness to healing. So, again, focusing on the transformation and that transitional phase that we go through when we are broken. My motto for evolution is the butterfly. That's my trademark. I take that everywhere I go. And I use the caterpillar as a perfect example of the transformation phase that we go through when we are broken or whatever we need to do to have that transitional phase in our life. So going from the caterpillar to the beautiful butterfly and what the caterpillar has to go through to become the butterfly. And we go through the same thing in our lives. I am an author who loves to write about my own lived experiences to let others know that I share your story. I share the same story that you have. I share those hard to have conversations that we avoid or overlook. Oh, excuse me. And that's why I chose my topic. Be the hero of your own story. And for some of us, needing that second part after betrayal. A few months ago, way before I found out about the summit, I was watching a movie with Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and it was called. And believe it or not, this was my first time watching this movie. I've seen like little bits, clips, here and there. I've watched Walking Past, and I've seen other people watching it, but I've never sat down to watch that movie. And it was a reason why I sat down and watched that movie. Of course, my husband was like, "Come on, let's watch this movie." And 2016 and it's 2026. I watched it, I think, in November. But it was called Central Intelligence. Dwayne Johnson, who played the character Bob Stone, he stood in front of his high school class reunion. I don't know if any of you on here have seen the movie. And he said, being the hero of your own story isn't about stopping bad guys or climbing mountains. It's about overcoming bullies in your life. And for some of us, those bullies are the people that we have relationships with, people on a job, a thing can be a bully, it keeps coming back in your life. An illness can be a bully over your life. And it's about overcoming bullies in your life, whatever or whomever they may be, or that may be. It's about putting it all out there for everyone to see. Those were his words. And that's what this summit is about, sharing our stories so that they help someone else that have gone through, is going through, or will go through the same thing. So when I heard that line from the movie, I grabbed a sheet of paper, I wrote it down, and I said, that's going to be a great topic for me one day, not even knowing anything about this summit. And so when Dr. Alicia, she asked us for our topics, I had two topics, and I saw all the other topics, and I'm like, that's the topic I'm going to speak about. And that's becoming the hero of your own story. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes she has been carrying chapters she was never meant to hold alone. One of my Motivational Monday Live topics was release what you can't carry. And in the middle of the week, I was on vacation in Myrtle Beach, sitting on the balcony, and I saw, well, I shared the video about what I saw. I saw a seagull trying to carry something in its mouth. And after it got so far, it released it. Moments later, another seagull scooped up the object and followed behind the first seagull. We carry things that we were never meant to carry alone. If something is too heavy, release it. Release it. Now, I'm not going to say that don't own your stuff. Just have problems and drop them, drop them off everywhere, drop them on people. There are some people out there that do that. They drop their problems and their unhealed wounds on other people. That's not what I'm saying. And don't accept accountability. I'm not saying loose everything and ignore your hurt and your pain either. Being the hero of your own story doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It means being smart enough to release what tried to break you, and finding strength to move on. It means you refused to stay buried in what tried to break you. Heroes rise by one, releasing what they can't carry, facing truth without shame, choosing healing over hiding, and believing that God can redeem every broken place. I'm going to go back to the first one really quickly, releasing what they can't carry. In the first book collaboration I did, I spoke about the domestic violence. I had never talked about that. I thought that that story was going to be buried with the person. And so in the book, I talked about how for 15 years I was carrying all of that hurt and pain and shame, his shame and embarrassment. Like I was carrying a lot. I was carrying the mask that he wore because I didn't want people to know the real him and who and what he was about. So I carried all of that on my back, on my shoulder every day. I woke up knowing the type of person he was. I woke up carrying all of that pain, carrying it to work with me. I was a teacher back then and a trainer. So I was carrying all of that baggage to work with me. And in the book, I tell how I finally broke. It's only so much that you can carry before you break, especially if you don't get the help that you need, the healing that you need. And I finally broke. And so I told that story in the book to tell other people, don't carry that shame. Don't carry things that you're not, that's not meant for you to carry along. Like I didn't talk about people, even after the death. I went to grief counseling, but I didn't go to like domestic violence therapy or anything like that. And so I continued to carry that until I wrote the story in the book. So I just wanted to share that with you all. So here's another transparent moment. A few months ago, I went through a period of holding things I was never meant to carry, afraid to face the truth about my situation, and afraid to completely surrender to God. I would pray about a situation, like literally holding my hands out to give it to Him, but then I would take it back. Give it to him, and then I take it back. And I told one of my motivational Mondays that I was playing what do we call that? Indian giver. So I would give it to God, take it back. Give it to God, take it back. Do you know how that made God feel? Like when we say, I trust you, Lord, but then we take the problem back. He doesn't want us to do that. Release it and let him have it. Um, I would pray about a situation, like I said, but that was about faith and acceptance. We have to truly put our faith in God and allow him to do the work. And part of that process is facing and accepting the truth. And when we do that, we can move into our healing phase. You have to remember that your becoming is holy, your healing is necessary, and your story matters. And the only way we can get through those parts of the phase, the transformation, is for us to release, is for us to understand and accept things. Accept things for what they are, and don't be shameful. And don't be shameful. And that's how we move from pain to purpose, from surviving to breathing again. Like, in that 15 years of dealing with the abuse and carrying that shame, I always felt like I was walking on eggshells, like I was holding my breath, even at work, even when he wasn't around, like I was holding my breath. Like if I did something wrong, he was gonna find out. And so I was able to breathe and just live again once I released that story and told it all. And it wasn't the fact that he had died. It was the fact that I was still carrying that once he died, and I let it out once I wrote the story. And that is your rebirth. When you do that, you are revitalized. You're going through that transformational period, and you can live again. You become the hero of your story the moment you decide that you're worth fighting for. Being the hero of your own story doesn't mean being fearless. It doesn't mean that you're perfect or always being strong. Some of us, we go through things and we just want to hold things like, no, I don't need the help, or I don't want to do that. It means choosing yourself, even when it's hard, even when you have to let go of things and people. So I'll give another quick example of a situational shit. I call it a situation ship that I was in with a narcissist. I heard a little bit of the speaker that was before me. I heard a little bit of her story. Um, but it wasn't a real relationship. And if those of you know, narcissists don't have real relationships. Everything about them is fake. So that was about 5, 6 years ago. And I allowed this person to fake his way with everything. I overlooked, I picked up on things, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not what it is. I would, hear something. I'm like, he lied about that. I don't know. Like, I kept giving him a chance. I kept giving that person a chance to do the things that he was doing over and over again. Like, it became a pattern and a cycle. And so, um, I had to tell myself, like, do I continue this cycle? Do I continue to allow him to lie in my face, and knowing that I know he's lying, and continue to just get away with it? Or do I release that thing that was pulling me down? Do I release this thing that's pulling me down? It had gotten to the point where I'm not a heavy drinker. I've never been a heavy drinker. I'll drink a glass of wine and I feel it. So maybe 2 glasses knocks me out. It puts me down, right? And so if I drink something heavy or hard, it'll be something dark. When I used to drink. And so he knew that. And so he would call me and say, hey, you want me to stop and get, a bottle or whatever? And because I was stressed out with all the other things that I was going through, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. And so when he would get there, he would just pour me a drink and want another drink and want another drink. So every time he knew I was upset with him, or every time he was on some BS, he would call me or text me and ask me, do I want him to bring something to drink? And before you knew it, the whole bar shelf was filled with some empty bottles and some, big bottles and little bottles. And when he wouldn't be there, I would find myself just pouring and pouring and pouring, and, until I'm asleep. And that was bringing me down. I didn't realize it until, later on, but it was bringing me down. Like, no, I'll be an alcoholic if I continue this pattern. And here's how that look when you start choosing yourself and you release that thing. One, you take ownership. Without the shame, you take ownership. Every hero reaches a moment where they stop blaming circumstances and start asking, what can I choose differently? Ownership isn't self-criticism, it's self-empowerment. And so in that moment, I started feeling shameful. Like, wait a minute. What? What am I doing? And I started feeling so bad about what I was doing until I realized it was the effect, and I was reacting off of everything that was going on. And what does that look like when you take ownership? It's recognizing that you still have the power, even in the pain and after the pain. And so I took ownership of what I was doing and allowing, and I took back my power. You stop waiting to be saved. Stop waiting to be saved. Sometimes we're waiting on an apology, closure, or change. You may never get it. And in that moment, I would tell him things, he would never apologize. And I was just waiting and getting angrier and more frustrated. Never, even to this day, never. I never got the apology. The rescue that we're waiting for is often already inside of us. Heroes don't wait for permission. We don't wait to be rescued or validation. Heroes decide, I'm worth fighting for, even if no one claps. And I say what I said, even if no one claps. And sometimes you have to clap for yourself. Sometimes you have to do that. I'm on the praise and worship team, and I like to practice the songs. So I record the songs while we're rehearsing, but I like to go back and listen to the recordings while I'm in the shower. The steam opens up my vocal cords so that I can hit those certain notes. And when I do, I get excited, right? And I'm in the shower like, ooh, yeah, girl, you hit that note. And I shared this because no one is in the room with me. No one is in the bathroom with me. And so if I do look around, I wouldn't get a response, whether I hit the note or not, right? And if I didn't get it, I would just tell myself, come on now, try harder. Or girl, get it together. It's okay. Just get it together. And then I'll try again and I'll say, no, you know that's not the note. But there's no one in the room to tell me that. So I have to tell myself. I have to be my own critic and tell myself things, right? Number 3, you face hard truths. Healing begins when we stop pretending that we're okay. I love to see on Facebook when somebody posts, it's okay not to be okay. Because it is. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes we walk around thinking that we can't show that we're okay. And I heard that we're not okay. I heard our pastor one day, some Sundays ago, say, stop lying. When someone asking you, are you okay? And you're not okay, stop lying, saying I'm okay. So I stopped doing that. If someone asks me today, are you okay? And I'm not okay, I'll hurry up and find a word. I'm doing. How are you? I'm doing. And if I'm not okay, I'm not going to say I'm okay because that stuck with me. Every powerful transformation begins with honesty. What hurts? What patterns keep repeating? What am I avoiding? Courage isn't loud, it's about being honest. Be gentle with yourself. It's okay to show yourself some grace, but be gentle. Rewrite the narrative that's in you, rewrite the inner narrative. You become the hero when you stop saying, this always happens to me, and start saying, this is happening for me, and I'm learning. Listen, I've learned so much over these last 25 years of my life. I know, I don't even look like I'm 25. And most of the time, we don't see the learning opportunity while we're in the situation because we're so wrapped up in the distraction and the frustration. But boy, when we come out, let me tell you, your story changes when your inner voice changes. And number 5, take one brave step at a time, not 10, just one. One boundary, one release, and one honest decision. Heroes aren't made in giant leaps. They're made in consistent, aligned steps. And we have to be aligned with our Creator. We have to be aligned with God. Setting a boundary, asking for help, and this is the one for me, walking away walking away and starting again. It's okay to start over again. Some of us are so afraid to start over that we hold on to what's not good for us. Number 6, turn your pain into purpose. Your wounds are scars and not disqualifiers. They are credentials, they are receipts. What you survived is often what you're meant to help others through. So keep a notebook around you. When I'm going through something or if I'm feeling a certain way and I need to write it down, I'll grab a sticky note and place it, on my desk or somewhere. I'm always writing, because those notes are going to turn into your stories, and the stories is going to turn into a testimony that's going to help someone else. So keep those receipts, keep those writings, keep your journals. Number 7, and this is so important: choose yourself daily. Being the hero isn't a one-time decision. It's daily choices that says, I matter. I'm healing. I'm becoming. Not worrying about somebody else, but you. Not worrying about what that person did to you and what you're waiting for that person to do, apologize or whatever. It's about you. Go to your mirror and vision that S on your chest. I do this a lot. I look at myself and sometimes I draw it on the mirror. Sometimes I'm my own hero. And remember this truth: you don't become the hero when the story gets easier. You become the hero the moment you decide you're worth the fight. Now let's take a quick look at how you become your own hero after betrayal. Betrayal changes you. Yes, it does. But becoming your own hero is how you reclaim yourself instead of losing yourself in it. When I was in that situationship with the narcissist, because that's what he was, I could have lost myself. I was losing myself, but I could have completely lost myself and lost my mind, but I didn't. It's so easy for us to get caught up in the hurt and the pain that we lose focus. We start to pay close attention to the actions of others and not our God, our creator, our source for times of trouble, our healer, and our provider. And here's what reclaiming yourself really looks like. And it gets deep and powerful, but hopefully this is going to help. Stop begging for clarity that they refuse to give. At first, you want answers, you want explanations, you want closure. Becoming your own hero means realizing you don't need their honesty to start your healing. Stop chasing conversations that reopen wounds and start choosing peace over proof. You don't need proof. Seek clarity and pay attention to the signs. Believe what you see, not what you hope. Betrayal hurts most when we keep trying to rewrite reality and make that person what they're not, or make the situation what it's not. Don't try to keep rewriting the story. A hero says, this hurts, but I will not gaslight myself to keep someone. Stop minimizing red flags and start trusting your own discernment. Set boundaries that protect your heart, not to punish them, but protect you. And that can look like less access to your emotions, no more over explaining yourself, not responding immediately to a text message, a phone call, email, or whatever it is, a knock on the door, and releasing the need to fix what you didn't break. Boundaries are not walls, they are self respect in action. And let yourself grieve the version of them that you loved. That part is necessary. You're not just grieving what happened, you're grieving who you thought they were, the future you imagined, and the safety you felt from the lies, the comfort that they fake gave you. And you're grieving that. Your healing begins when you allow yourself to feel sadness without turning it into self-blame. And stop asking, why wasn't I enough? You are enough. You are who God created you to be. And if you are not enough for that person, let them go. And start asking yourself, why did I accept less than I deserved? That shift is everything. Trust me. Betrayal is not proof that you lacked value, it's proof that they lacked integrity. Choose yourself even when it's lonely. This is the hero moment. You wake up and decide, I will not shrink to keep love. I will not abandon myself again. I will not trade my peace for temporary connection. Even if your voice shakes, say it. Even if your heart aches, do it. You turn the pain into wisdom, your pain. You don't become harder, you become clearer. And you learn what your boundaries are, what love should feel like, and what you will never tolerate again. Betrayal didn't break you, It introduced you to the version of you that refuses to be mistreated again. And the truth is, becoming your own hero after betrayal doesn't look loud. It looks like quiet strength. It looks like choosing dignity over drama, peace over pursuit, healing over holding on. And one day you realize you didn't just survive betrayal, you rose with discernment, standards, and self trust. When I say your healing is holy, I mean it is sacred, intentional, and set apart for transformation. And holy always leads to one thing. Isaiah 61:4 says, they will rebuild ancient ruins and restore the places devastated. It's about rebuilding, not rebuilding the relationship, not rebuilding the old version of you, but rebuilding you, the you that God created. Stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who God created you to be. Betrayal may have shaken your trust, your confidence, and sense of safety, but in this holy space of healing, God begins to rebuild what was damaged. He rebuilds your self worth. He rebuilds your boundaries. He rebuilds your discernment because, oh, you're going to pick up on everything after that. He rebuilds your identity outside of pain. And rebuilding doesn't happen overnight, it happens brick by brick, choice by choice. And every time you choose peace over chasing, choose trust, choose truth over pretending, choose boundaries over fear, choose yourself over abandonment, you are laying a new foundation. And this foundation is not built on someone else's behavior, it's built on truth, wisdom, and God's restoring love. And this is why your process is holy, because you are not just recovering, you are rebuilding your life from the inside out. I hope someone understands what becoming the hero of your own story looks like. That is my time, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Alicia, for having me. I truly appreciate it, and I hope something was said to help someone tonight.
Thank you so much, Coach Evelyn. I know that something has been said. You know, you dropped some heavy nuggets tonight,
Ooh,
and I hope that people grasp exactly what you were saying. You said that we have to learn to choose yourself. So often we forget that we are the hero of our own story, and we wear that S, superb woman. So you've got to learn how to choose that for yourself. Then you said you wanted us to learn to be strong. And so often we look at ourselves as this weaker vessel, that when we start to be strong, we think that we are being aggressive. But there's a difference of being aggressive and being assertive. And we just have to be assertive to save ourselves and save our lives. Then you said,
yes.
this is my favorite tonight. Change is about being gentle to yourself. I loved that. That just really hit me right in a pocket. Change is about being gentle to yourself. We beat ourselves
Yes.
up so much
Yes.
and we don't move forward with change, but change is about being gentle.
Yes, you have to show yourself grace. If you can show someone else grace, if God can show you grace, show yourself some grace.
Yes, yes, I love that. Well, thank you so very much for being a part of this summit and really speaking from your heart and sharing from your heart. And I have no doubt that someone will find grace for themselves after
Yeah.
listening to this. So thank you, and I will
Thank
speak to you
you.
on the other side. God bless you.
Yes. God bless you. Bye.
Amen. Amen. Day number 2 of the We Heal Sensitivity Summit. Things that people don't want to listen to or hear most of the time, but it's necessary for us to speak about. And I want to make sure that everything that we're saying tonight gets into the heart and the mind. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
And I can hear you. Come on,
Awesome.
girl. Now we are ready. We say in the Virgin Islands, now we are cooking with gas. Because
Now we're cooking with gas. Thank you
yes,
so
yeah,
much.
the devil is a
Um,
liar. And he thought he was going to stop you today and put you in a place
yes,
of frustration. But
he
when I
did.
prayed this more about this conference, that's the one thing that I said. And I always know how to switch things up and make it come back to where it needs to be. And where it needs to be right now is that the spotlight is on you, because I know that you have something to say. That's why the enemy was fighting you the way he did.
Yes.
And we release you right now for the next 30, 35 minutes to share from your heart what it is God wants you to say, because the enemy will not shut your mouth nor shut you down. So it's on you. God bless you.
God bless you, Apostle, and thank you so much for allowing this platform for us. My name is Nakio Berry. I am a coach, a mentor, a travelpreneur, and just here to give you some words of encouragement. So, today, before we begin, I want to talk about something that's very important to us, but it's not often talked about. And that is actually financial trauma. Financial trauma is very, very, very real, right? So it brings up emotions when we think about it. And that's not being weak, that's being aware. Okay. So want you to know this is a safe place, like Apostle has stated. You know what happens here is like Vegas. It actually stays here, and it's just a time to listen, reflect, and take out of it from all of us what resonates with you. What is financial trauma, right? It's just financial trauma isn't just about being broke. It's about how money experiences imprints on our nervous system. It imprints on your nervous system, right? Um, it can come from growing up and watching our parents struggle. I know we've all heard the old saying, money doesn't grow on trees. I'm sure we all have heard that, right? We've seen evictions, we've seen foreclosures, we've seen repossessions happen in our lives from our parents and our family members. Being financially controlled in a relationship, my sister just shared some things about a narcissist, right? So you can actually be financially controlled in your relationship, okay? Working hard, but never getting ahead. I saw so many of my members of my family just constantly working and working and working, and they never got ahead. They never saw anything out of it. They didn't get the things that they desired. That's been some things that I've seen in my past. Um, Losing money suddenly. You come into a lump sum of money, we spend it impulsively, so now it's gone. Those financial traumas that set in deep within us, okay? So trauma isn't the event, it's how your body learned to survive this event. I'm pausing intentionally so it can actually resonate. So you might have financial trauma if you panic when bills come. When the bills come in the mail, even if you have the money, you may sense feel your heart racing, kind of panicky. I don't know what went up. We just went through some snowstorms, so that could be the gas bill, the light bill. The bills are increasing. The cost of everything is actually increasing right now, so that anxiety sets in. Is there gonna be enough money? Okay. Feeling guilt when you actually spend on yourself. How many of us actually deal with that? When you kind of splurge on yourself a little bit, you feel guilty about that, like as if you don't deserve it, but you do, right? Overwork. That's something that I do. I overwork myself because I feel unsafe. Like I feel like when I'm resting, I didn't deserve to rest because there's always something to do. That's the feeling that I have sometimes. Who can actually resonate with that? Avoiding checking the bank account, avoiding logging into the app. because sometimes when that check comes in, that paycheck comes in, it's already spent. We already know the mortgage, the rent, the lights, the water, all of these things are due. So we avoid checking it because we already know it's gone. Believing money is just temporary. Self sabotaging when that income increases, right? So you get that raise or that promotion. Now you're just spending, spending, spending. You tie your worth to your productivity. That's your worth, and you tie it to your productivity. This isn't a character flaw, it's conditioning. And that's what we've been learned to do often so many times. That's what we've been taught. So financial trauma quietly drives decisions like staying in jobs that we actually hate. We hate that job, but at least it's stable, right? You know, if you continuously show up, that paycheck is going to arrive. But deep down in your heart, you actually hate that job. Saying no to opportunities out of fear. You're fearful. So you say no. You can't be a part of this. You can't be a part of that because you're fearful and you're saying no. If you're an entrepreneur, you undervalue your services. So you sell yourself short. That financial trauma. How about the money hoarders? I'm pausing intentionally. The money hoarders. You hoard the money because you're scared if you spend one penny or one dime, it's all going to be gone. Mm. Or that impulsive spender. That could be me. That was me at times. Shopping, buying clothes, buying things that I didn't need because I saw the money, so I spent impulsively. Believing that abundance is not for us or for you, it's for the other people. But God says we're supposed to have life and have it abundantly. So that is for you, myself, and all of us that He actually created. Your nervous system doesn't speak logic, it speaks safety. Our body has learned struggle equals normal, stability equals rare, money equals stress. Have you ever heard that? More money, more problems. So these are the things that have been embedded in us from being young before, from growing up. So then the peace of having money becomes so unfamiliar, right? It doesn't feel safe to us. Mm. That's why a lot of people self destruct when they get money. Do you actually see some of the celebrities as we've lost some of the Whitney Houstons and the Michael Jacksons? Like they had so much money that it was a self destruction for them. Their nervous system is trying to return to what it knows, the lack of. So we just spin and self destruct. So here's the shift. Here's the shift here. We don't heal financial trauma by forcing positive thinking. We heal it by creating new evidence. I'm going to say that again. We heal financial trauma by creating new evidence. Evidence like small, consistent wins, safe conversations about money. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay. It is okay. Learning without shame, right? Some of us, we really didn't know. We didn't know about credit cards. We didn't know if you take your credit card and you spend the whole entire credit card, you're going to have to pay that money back. Or the interest rates are through the roof on credit cards. I was someone that didn't know that. I wasn't taught that. When my family grew up, when I grew up, they didn't have credit cards. All they had was cash that they used to say a lot that it didn't grow on trees. So I had to learn the hard way about credit when that credit kind of hit rock bottom. I'll tell you a short story. After moving into our home that we built, you when you buy a home, you start getting a lot of credit card offers. Lots and lots of offers. And I was saying yes to every offer. I'll take that card. I'll take that card. Again, I didn't know. So with the interest rate being so high on them, I was paying the cards back. But guess what? only paying the interest rate back. So I'm never, ever, ever getting ahead. Until finally I had to have a conversation with someone, because it's okay to talk to someone when you don't have a clue about money. So I had to talk to my credit counselors and my friends and people that have already took that journey before me. And they said, no, you don't need that many credit. You don't need 10 credit cards. You just need one or two, and you spend the money and you pay it right back. You don't spend more than what you can pay back. But I had to learn that the hard way, right? So, what we want to do is build income streams that don't burn you out. Seeing money come in without the chaos. It shouldn't be chaos when the money is coming in. Your nervous system heals from repetition, not motivation. So, constantly doing something will actually heal your nervous system. So, let's take a moment and just kind of close our eyes and think back. Let's think back to what was the first memory of you having money. My first memory of having money, I do believe it was my grandmother. I had did a chore, did something for her, and she gave me $1 or some coins, and I was able to go to the store and buy candy. That was my first memory of money. How did my family members think about it? How did your family members talk about money around you? Well, my family members around me always talking about it wasn't enough. Oh Lord, I didn't have enough of this. Oh, what am I going to do? How are we going to get by? How are we going to do the next thing? How are we going to get by? It was never enough money. What did money mean in your childhood? Did it mean fear? Did it bring security? Did it bring power? Or did it bring absence? For me, it was a sense of security because I seen everyone that had money when I was growing up. They had a nice house. They had a nice car. They had nice clothes. They had nice things. So I thought it was a sense of security. It was a sense of power to actually have money. Now it's different because some of us will spend impulsively, and even if you don't have $1 in your pocket, you have on all the name brand clothes. Last thing to marinate on, to think about. What belief did you inherit that you're still living by? I've had a shift in my mindset. So some of the things that I've inherited about money, I've heard about money, I've shifted that mindset. So again, looking into multiple streams of income, coming to work and being my very best so I can elevate and get promoted and continuously make more money. But the mindset that I was inherited with, it would never be enough money. You'll never have enough, no matter how hard you work. You're gonna work to the day that you die, and you'll never have enough money. That's not a good feeling. That's not a good feeling at all. So, what do we choose today? You could have been grown and you could grow from that belief, or you can keep that belief. But today, I think we need to work together to shift our mindsets. You didn't choose that belief. That belief you was inherited that belief about money. Financial healing isn't about becoming rich overnight. If you know an overnight get rich quick scheme, please let me know. But it's not about getting rich overnight. It's about becoming regulated, about how you think about and deal with money. It looks like making decisions from clarity, not panic. Allowing yourself to be able to receive when it's yours, when it's for you. Know that it's for you. Separating your self worth from the bank account. You know what you worth. It may not reflect your bank account in this moment, but do know your self worth. And creating streams of income that honor your nervous system. Because who wants to be anxious and nervous about not having enough money? Letting money be a tool, not a threat. So say boldly, I'm not bad with money. I am not bad with money. I was just surviving. So, how do we move from surviving to thriving with money? Today, you don't need to fix everything. You just need to notice where that fear of financial trauma has been driving the car. We need to notice what fear has been driving that car. And awareness of knowing that is that very first step to being free. The very first step. So, from this moment forward, your relationship with money gets to be intentional. Move with intention. It's not inherited from what we were taught from our ancestors, right? It needs to be intentional. So, if you're continuously ready to learn about money in a way that feels safe and sustainable, and you'll be the one empowered, right? This is just the beginning. So, I want us all to say together, I am the power of the money. I control what happens next for me with my money. I will be smart with spending my money. If I need any help with knowing or speaking to anyone, if I need help or additional ideas or additional tips around money, I will be more than happy to reach out to someone to gain that clarity and understanding. We don't have to be traumatized by money. So it's no more going to being scared to look at the bank account. It's no more being scared to look at the bills. We're taking it, as my sister said previously, and we're owning it. We're going to be smart with our money and do away with what we were inherited with and face those financial traumas. I want to thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity, this space to talk about something that I've never ever been able to talk about to anyone. And knowing it allowed me to actually identify that is. When the anxiety comes over me, my heart is racing, my stomach is feels like butterflies in it, like, oh my goodness, I do not want to open this bill. I already know what it is. But no, I'm facing that head on. And together as a union, as a team, we can take this on together and we can battle that financial trauma that we've been dealing with. I really hope this resonates with you, with someone today, tonight, that you can really face those traumas head on and conquer it. Again, God says we're supposed to have life and have it abundantly. He wants us to have more than enough. He has created this platform for us to have that. So understand and know that it's yours if you want it. Apostle, thank you so much for this time. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you even more. Listen, man, that topic really had me because in one of my classes last week, I told them that it was a point where I would avoid checking my checking account
Hmm.
because I was so traumatized by not having enough. And I would just let it go. Yeah,
Just let
letting
it
the bills
happen.
not open them. And then you want to know why you're overdrawn if you're not checking or whatever. But you said this. You used Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson as an example that people who have money self-destruct
Mm.
with money because they don't understand the value of money. And some people try to buy love, they try to buy relationships, they try to buy the big house for status, they try to do all of that thing to hide the inside hurt from childhood, from the past, those things that they have never allowed to be healed. And then you said this: we heal financial trauma by creating new evidence. I love that. The new evidence is finding that sweet spot of how to make residual income. And
Mm.
in that bank account, you don't have to be scared. This was so good. I'm going to say this was my sweet spot conversation. I love it because so many of us are dealing with the trauma of financial lack. and we've got to do something about where we
That's
are.
right.
I actually faced mine by setting up an entire Excel sheet in my computer with every bill that I have. I don't call it a budget, but it was every bill I have, when it's due, how I'm going to take care of, what I'm going to take care of. And I realized since I did that about 2.5, 3 months ago, I don't have all that anxiety any longer. I'm
Yes.
learning how to shift my mindset
Mm-hmm.
and the way I view money. So thank you. Really, I have one of my spiritual daughters that's a financial planner, and every Friday she talk about finances, and every time she speak, hi, Minister Shimon, I see you, and oh my God, she's right on here,
I
Shante.
would love
I'm
to
just
meet
talking
her.
about you. You are. She talks about finances, and she really helps us to be guided with what we need to do as far as financial planning. I remember when I went and I got me what is it the name? Oh, I forgot. And I said to the person that was preparing it for me, I don't have no assets to put in this. She says, you have a car? I said, yes. She said, do you have a checking account? I said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she started to show me my thinking was really warped and really off. I'm
Yep.
going to share the story and you're going to appreciate this. You got involved with something that you offered me. And the reason I did not commit to it was because I felt like I blew it. Because when this company started 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was 7 people sitting in that room.
You in the beginning?
In the beginning, with Mr. Bradley, with Desiree, all of them. That's why I wanted to wait, but that's why this thing is exposing sensitive topics so you can hear.
Yes.
I was one of the 7. All 7 of those people today are millionaires.
Yes, they doctor.
I allowed my then husband to talk me out of it. And I lived with the trauma of I wasn't good enough. I couldn't do it. I couldn't catch up. I was offered the opportunity again 2 years ago, and I still wasn't healed. And I let it pass by me again. But I'm telling you, when we deal with financial trauma, we won't keep making the same mistakes over and over. So today I reveal that to you.
I thank
I sat
you
in
for
the room in
sharing.
Rancho Cucamonga with 7 of us in that room with that presentation from Mr. Bradley. I signed up, we all did, and I allowed someone else to dictate what I was going to do. And so that's why it's so important now that we start to look at where we are financially and what we need to do and how we need to heal, and don't let anyone else come in between our space and what God is showing us to get us
Yes,
to where He needs us.
yes, yes.
Thank you so very much
You
for
welcome. Thank
sharing.
you so much for
with us
having
this-
me.
You are welcome. God bless you, and I'll speak to you real soon.
God bless you. Bye bye.
Listen, I am telling you, day 2 is a wrap. And I am so excited. Shante, I see you. There's my coach Simone is on here. Anissa here. Wow, the time is now, Anissa. Yes. Sometimes lost opportunities come back around, and maybe you're in a better headspace to take it. Because as I am looking at where I could have been, should have been, but because I listened to someone who didn't see my vision, I allowed them to rob me of my vision financially. So I just want to say to each and every one of you tonight, thank you for listening to our speakers tonight. Our first speaker was Yolanda Powell, and then our second speaker was Evelyn Matthews, and our wrap-up speaker was Nikio Berry. I am Apostle Dr. Alicia George, and in this space, we talk about every and anything that God allows us to speak about. Please join us tomorrow if you are available. It will be in the morning Pacific Standard Time, starting at 10 a.m., where we'll have our other guests, And then I'm excited about having a husband and wife team that's going to come on. And I will be the last speaker to wrap it up tomorrow. So please, please, please just convert your time from Eastern Standard Time to Pacific Standard Time. We are 3 hours behind you, Central 2 hours behind you, and come in and sit with us. I am just about to go lay down because I've been battling with the flu for the last 2 days, but I could not stand on my watch and cancel. And so God bless each and every one of you that have been here with me tonight. And remember, as my cousin Lorraine always says, have a great day today and a better one tomorrow. And I'll see you at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. God bless.